खाली है सर, खाली सर, हाँ.
इसे करवा देते हैं. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair for us Hilal Housing inviting us here to present the model that we have, and that's all to help ourselves and also the community. The model here is same model that was borrowed from the before I start, I want to make sure that the members here present is the Tahir Sheikh is our president, and Shahid
Shahid here also.
is probably, many of you probably know him. He is the vice president. I am the treasurer, but that's the introduction. Who is our team, inshallah, I'll let you know for the slides. So this model is based on the Ansar organization in Canada. Early 80s, late 90s, that when we, the other organization that I was part of for 15, 17 years, that's the model was borrowed from them, which was sanctioned by Mufti Taqi Usmani at that time for that organization. We borrowed, and then in the other organization, we had it reviewed by the AMJA, which is the also American jurist of America, that's is in America, and they sanctioned that. We have had it reviewed with them. They identify a few things, we fixed it, and so this model is based on that. It's reviewed by some of the scholars, and with the Hilal Housing, which is we established recently last year, and which and carry over the same model. So this is what we are trying to present here. That model is fully sanctioned by the scholars, and we will take it. We get the guidance from them, and if there's anything that's fine, we fix it. So introduction. Next slide, please. Next slide. So this is our team. As I mentioned, Tahir Sheikh is the president, Shahid is the vice president, then there is a treasurer, then Tariq Yusuf is secretary, and Naeem Malik is our advisor. The majority of us, have this experience for many, many years on this model. Naeem Malik is the not only a real estate broker, but he is also advisor to many, many industries, and then that's where he advises on the changes or current issues if there's any comes up. So we'll go through the next slide, please. So introduction, those what we said, the introduction, investment, and the home finance and questions. So I'll go by one. So in introduction, that this organization, like I said, is the model carried over. That means it's members or owned organization. The members are the sole source for our income. So that's where we provide the investment venue that they come invest the money, and then when so it is a member-owned organization, and this is the model for the to provide our community the alternative of the commercial market that is available there, the banking and also the other organization which provide the funding, but with the interest. And that's the one thing that we wanted to avoid, and wanted to provide the venue for the our community, not just for the investment, but also to either refinance the house that they already have it and they wanted to get rid of that, or buy the new home. So this is the organization that provides that also opportunity to members. And for our boards that we are only into this as a volunteers. That means that we are doing that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our effort and become the, our forgiveness, Allah may accept that and then forgive us and take that effort to further, advance for the larger community. Right now we are only in California, and we have registered in the Texas, but right now is the California. So this. So like I said, there's AMJA compliant. So there's if you're not familiar with the AMJA, so that's the abbreviation is underneath there. The All Muslim Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, and Sheikh, the scholar that we had it reviewed our contract and the documentation of Sheikh Subscibe at that time, the secretary of the AMJA, and the main folks on that organization that reviewed was the Sheikh Main al-Qada, which based on the Texas, and also Sheikh Jamal Zarabozo, who's in Sacramento. So those were the two key scholars who reviewed that, and time to time we ask them if there's any changes that we need to make. Right now, this model we have communicated to them, and we are waiting for their response and then submit the papers so that they can review with some changes that we made to this model. And more, those changes are mainly the improvements and also to respond to the issues that we ran into the other organization. So that's the whole part of that. So this is the continue of that, this model that is model based on solely for the members' investment. So we don't borrow money from anybody. We are not just the income, but also the investment is based on the investment from the members. So once the member have invested the money, and also from within the members who are interested in buying the house, home, or refinance it. So because this is a member organization, we don't go outside of the members. So we don't refinance or buy the home anybody else unless they become the members. So once you become the members, then within the members, if you are interested in buying or refinance home, you submit a request to be added to the active list. We call this active list. It's nothing but the list of the members who are interested in buying the home or refinancing it. And there's the requirements for those. And that list we establish on the website also, that because it's a first come, first served base. That means we do not bypass anybody, we don't favor anybody, and we just go by the date. We call it HBR, that active list, home buyer list. That list is by date. So if you fill out the application and also met the requirements that are there, I'll further elaborate on those. So you become, you're in the list, and we go one by one. If you're not ready, we go to the next one. Next, please. So what are the conditions for the home that you will buy? That home is for residence only, and it has to be your primary residence. that means you cannot rent it. It's not for rental business because we are a volunteer board and we want to make sure that if it is become the commercial venue, then the professional need to come in and take over as a business entity, but not as a community service from a perspective. The home, once you purchase the home, then there's a remodeling if needed, and we run into some issues in the earlier organization where remodeling was not properly defined. What are those major expenses? So we are taking care of here so that later there's no issue with that. We define that condition, that what is that major expense, which is generally is if you are adding the square footage in the living area, which is counted as living area, then that will be the only expense that will be covered. And what does that mean? I'll elaborate on that one. Also, because this is from the community service perspective, we are there to help the homeowner as well as the also investor from the providing them the venue. If there's a hardship, meaning that God forbid that somebody lost their job or other reasons that they cannot pay the monthly payment, we allow them to go and on a reduced payment for that month, not reducing the payment itself, but you can, as long as you can, because the payment is two-factor. One is the amount of the payment going towards the equity, and amount of the payment is going towards Hilal Housing as a rent. That portion, we ask that as a minimum, you should pay the Hilal Housing portion. That will allow to get the income, but it will not, your equity will not move because you're not putting anything towards the equity. So that's a hardship in that case. Also, sometimes happens that job moves. You bought the house and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows future. Your job moves. So what are you going to do? So at that time we allow to rent. But then it was solely responsibility of the members to ensure upkeep of the house. We don't, on top of that, the rental, that assessment is, that's what the homeowner is still liable for, not the rent he agreed to with the renter. So that will be, because it's prerogative of doing that. So we wanted to make sure that when that happens, the homeowner is responsible for any damage or anything happens by the tenant. So because those, and also if you want to sell it, so that's the other option. The profit and loss is a 90-10, and the larger number is the homeowners, and the smaller number is the organization. The other organization we started with 70-30. Actually, 80-20 was also there, but never used. 70-30, and then we changed that about 4 or 5 years ago, 85-15. So, but here we also, with the thing in mind that this question always comes, that this distribution is not 100%, I will not say Sharia compliant because Sheikh agree with that, is not the pure partnership. We don't do that with the based on whatever the investment of the homeowner, in other words, the equity, or the investment from the Hilal Housing. We don't based on that one. We fix that at 90-10. Doesn't matter what time that happens when if somebody wants to sell it out. So the question comes if we are, because we are not 100% partnership, because we do not contribute towards tax or insurance. That's members' responsibility, and that was discussed in length with the scholars, and then it is determined that if we want to have the organization, then it cannot be 100% partnership because the organization will not survive. There's no ROI period. So from that perspective, what Sheikh recommended, Sheikh Salsabi, that at least give them something as a token, reduce their rent to just help them. We says, okay, it was, we decided at that time 7%. And there's no smart behind that number. We just pick that number to make sure that ROI is not impacted that much. Now that 7% can be used for whatever person. What does that mean? It means that we appraise the rent, and rent come out to be, let's say, 2,000 monthly, and we go by the professionals. We go and ask the professionals to go and appraise the rent, and also the property value. So we deduct that 7% from 2,000, and that becomes your monthly rent. So that's what it means. So when we start discussing here, because that question comes many times, so we also reduce the profit and loss from 85 to 90%. So we give 5% back to the homeowner in that regard, that, give them as much as we can. We need to balance it, but we says we can still hopefully, inshallah, balance the ROI. So we give that percent towards from that in mind, right? Next please. So now, how do we operate the ROI? How do we determine return on investment, and what are our expenses? So our income is first of all, whatever comes in, because this board, one board member's name is not there. He just accepted it. Junaid Abbas is also part of that. I forgot about him. Because we are all volunteers, there's no expense for us, and we don't have today. We don't have any employee today, because based on that experience that we have, 17, 18 years experience, we can handle up to about 200, 300 members. We can handle the workload, and after that we will need somebody, and minimizing the expenses, because this is just a start of the organization. We established in June last year, so 1 year. But first few months, 4, 5, 6 months, we didn't do much except start letting the people know that we are here. So it's very new, and so that's why we are minimizing the expenses as much as possible. And that's why we don't have office today. Tariq Yusufzai, who lives in Santa Clara and next to the Masjid Noor, and he was also in the old organization. His home is used to register for Tahir, and then his address is used for the mailing services. So whatever comes in, and as soon as we get to the point where we can afford it, we tried that early. We looked at that, but nothing is cheap there. And we want to be in the vicinity so that whoever is working the most doesn't have to drive too much, too far. So from that perspective, so that's everything is to minimize the expenses right now, not the quality. The quality is still there for the work that whatever we need to do. So from that perspective, our income is from the rental income. So monthly payment comes in, and the portion of that becomes the income. And then we have a membership fee, that one-time fee for the membership we get $100. That's a one-time fee. The rental portion also has an admin fee, $75 there, so that's also part of that. And then the capital gain. What is the capital gain? Is the 90-10%, which is at the end when the homeowner reaches to 90. It simply means that when you reach to 90% of your equity, will evaluate the home value to determine the profit loss. And that was one thing in the old organization that early on that my house that I bought was 100%, meaning that I have to pay off 100%, and then they will evaluate the final value. Sheikh says you cannot do that, because at that time you have zero interest, because member has 100%. He has paid off 100%, so it has to be anything but the 100%. So that's what that 90% is there. That when you reach to 90%, we'll do the evaluation of the home value and determine the 10%. The ROI is also, that was a recommendation from him to do something. Is the quarterly base. So we collect all the rental income and everything and expenses, and whatever left is we distribute as ROI. But the ROI used to be calculated on your money has to be there for whole quarter, plus minus few days in the beginning and at the end. But then we say that to be more fair, we cannot do that every day because we are not there yet, but at least we can do a monthly basis. So we calculate on a monthly basis, but declare on a quarterly basis. So every month, for example, but money has to be there for whole month, from day one to the last day. So January 1st, if your money invested on January 1st, it will be counted for the month of January. If the money comes in on the 2nd of the January, it will be counted in February, not for the January. If you withdraw the money on 29th or 30th, that will be not counted for that. So that's what that means, the calculation of the monthly basis, but declared on the quarterly basis. We don't send out the check of the ROI, this is reinvested. So we just added it back into the statement. This organization is a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust. And what does that mean? That ROI, you do not pay the taxes until you issue the 1099. Even though you can see in the statement, but don't claim that in your taxes until you receive the 1099 from the organization. So how do you become a member? Simply, our minimum requirement is $5K and $100 one-time fee. So $5,100 is you will become a member. You have to fill out the form. And so at this point, we also have a ACH. So there's a direct deposit or withdrawal vehicle that bank uses. All you need to do is provide the void check and how much amount that you need to invest. And then we'll take it from the bank. So that's how you can become a member, or just send the check. We discourage the check because there's more work sometimes is, lose in the mail, and has happened, and not received, or sometimes not received in timely manner, that if you're, time crunch from the ROI perspective, sending the check at the end of the month and we did not receive it on time. So from that perspective, the ACH is when we receive it, that's the day count that we have your money, whether we deposit on that day or not. That's not your concern, because you have no control. Your control is and when we receive your email, and then we credit that on that day. So there's a different type of accounts. We have added this retirement account, which was not there in the organization. We have done that. Individual accounts, generally those are the accounts. And then the custodial for the minors, there's no fee, the membership fee for the custodial, and also the amount not listed here is $2K. This is for the children, that if you want to continue with your children, like I had 3 children, they all had the custodial account and then they become adult. So they change their account to adult. So that's the custodial account. This is no fee, and then same applies, except among the 4, only the custodial account does not consider a full member, and therefore there's no voting rights for that. Business account, if you have a business and you want to open through the business account. The individual account, so for all of them, we do not allow third-party check. And third-party check, we consider any check that is not part of the member's account. And we don't have a joint membership, so a spouse does not become the member, by definition, or a spouse cannot get the information without the written permission from the member. And that's applied to, all accounts, except the minor, the custodian, whoever that custodian is, the responsible. But we don't share the information with anybody who's not authorized, either through the membership form or through the email in writing that, you can share our account. Now, beneficiary, can deposit the check, and then those are also has to be in writing, either in the member when you submit the form, or later on through the email or through the some written mechanism. But the beneficiary can only deposit, and that's the extent that the right exists for the beneficiary. Cannot get any information, cannot change anything on the account. Is the member unless member delegate that through the power of attorney or something. Now, so that's the members, money comes in and we buy the house and we distribute the ROI. Now, how do we think that, make that secure, just like any other bank or do that, FDIC, because we are trying to fulfill the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we want to avoid anything which goes against it. Insurance is also, unless you have to, that's not allowed, not as an option. So what is the guarantee for our investment that we do? That question also came when we were in the other organization, when the house market went down, 2010-11 time frame. We never, we never incur the loss on a quarterly basis. We never. And then reason being because we required the investment from the homeowner, potential homeowner, minimum 20%. It becomes very hard for somebody to walk out with the 20%. Is the turmoil that happens is many, not all of them, were in a situation where even the home buyer does not have income, they were given the loan. So that's what caused many of those that they defaulted to. In our case, it's a 20% is more than incentive for the homeowner not to. And even if they do, then we have other venue to either take over the homes or do whatever is necessary for us. So that's how we got, from the real estate perspective, track record says that not this organization, but based on the same model, we have shown that time after time. It's not that we never got the loss on the house. Yeah, there are few, but it was not enough to impact the ROI. 4 to 5% was always there, and we think that we can also manage that, but to increase that. So one thing over the experience when we used to buy 4 homes in the other organization. I was in there since 2006 until last year. Until 2015, we were buying 4 houses per year. And our ROI was 45%, between 4 to 5. Then I went to AMJA conference in Dallas in 2015, and they invited us. We went there and explained our model. That year, we bought about 10 or 12 homes. And after that, we were buying 22 homes every year. ROI was still same, because some places the value and rent ratio is not good. Is it 2%? But other places it balance it. But then in 2010 time frame or a little later, we also run into this issue that the people were not, even the active list was about 60, 70 people, but because of the turmoil that was going on, nobody was ready to buy the home. Now we had the money, and what do you do with that money? Because there was a dead money, we had to pay the ROI on that one. At that time, board decided to go and buy the commercial. So we bought post office in California, and also 4 homes here in California, Fresno area, about 100 to 125, between 100K to 125, and the value was. Post office was a little more, but then the rent we were getting was almost $1,000 from those homes. The home that we buy from, in Bay Area for million, we get about 3,000, a little more. So that was like, it was balancing our ROI from that perspective. Then we bought the college in Louisiana. And that was triple net, we were getting 18,000 monthly rent from there. So the same thing that to manage the 4 to 5% ROI, and we have to do something like that. No, we are not ready yet, and we'll look into the market, and when the prime directive for us to, as the funds comes in, buy the home for the people who are on the list. But in between, we will see that where we can fit that. And we are also looking into other models or the other opportunities where, for example, these days, your single family homes are almost becoming, history. Is very difficult to get them, and then the apartments and whatnot are becoming more available. We are looking into that one. That can we fit those into our model, because our guidelines were that if you don't have a land, we don't buy that property. So we are looking into all of those with the help of Naeem and also other people that we are working with, to how we can also improve and say not only the availability of the homes, because it's not affordable anymore for our young kids that coming out of the college or the new grads. So that's we're also looking into that. So now this is, you deposit your money, and what is the withdrawal policy? So we allow generally very few that withdraw, but you have investment you have full control on. So withdrawal generally for 5-10K is not a big deal, but we limit that because we don't have a source that we can go grab the money. Our source is only the members. And we try to use that funds as soon as possible to invest. Otherwise, that dead money. But because of the need of the members, that any times the need can arise, we put certain amount, 100K, 200K aside. We don't touch that for the withdrawal. That we need to keep that. But if somebody wants to withdraw more than 100K, we says we will put you on a schedule. We don't allow. Anybody can hear, or I'm going in and out? So 100K per 30 days a month. So if, let's say you have enough money that you want to withdraw more than 100K, we will say, okay, let's say 150K. Provided the funds, we will give you 100K when you request, and then it's scheduled 50K 30 days later. That's how we work on that one. But for the amount 5-10K, there shouldn't be an issue. So now, members, you can just need the 5100 to become the member and fill out the form. For how you get added into the HBR list, which is the home buyer refinance list that we call it, we ask to have at least 50K minimum in your investment account. This is not locked at that point. That's just investment. You're getting the ROI. But to become on that list, you have to have in your balance 50K. If you already have the account, you have 10K in there. You need to put 40K more, and then fill out the form. And generally, in that form, you'll need to tell that if that's a new home, where you're trying to buy and what is the projected, so that we can. And why do we need that? Because we need next in line when we say that are you ready? We're also looking from the perspective how much money do we need for that home. So that's why we need that. What is your target money? 1 million, 1.5 million, whatever that money will be. So we need to make sure that the portion of the money that we are responsible for from the Hilal Housing investment perspective and also the deposit of the members that we have that much money. Because we don't issue, we call it AP letter, authorization letter, that it can be, home can be found next week. And then if we're ready, then we block that much money at that time. Next. You want to go back? Please. So I thought that I mentioned that, but the 80% is what we, the maximum we invest. We means Hilal Housing. So in order to get the 80%, you must have 20% there, and not to exceed 1 million. Our limit is 1 million. What does that mean? The 80% is not that, you have a million home and you want us to give the million there. No. In order to have the 1 million, you need to have 200K there, and then we'll invest 800. Now, where the cap comes in, if the home value is a lot more, like 1.5 million. So our limit will be 1 million, and the homeowner has to bring $500,000, right? So that's where the cap comes in. Why do we have a cap? We want to also manage the risk, that how much risk we can take, right? And that's where we decided to 1 million is a good number. You don't have to use all of that. If it's a home value is $500,000, then we will invest 400 and you'll bring. But that's a minimum from the homeowner. Homeowner can bring whatever money they can bring, and the rest we'll put in, not to exceed 1 million and not to go below 20%. That's right. This is a little different on the refinance case. What we say that in the refinance case, we still require 20%, but up to 15%, if you have equity in your home, you can use that. But if you have equity greater than or equal to greater than 15%, we will allow only 15%. Let's say you have 25% or 25% equity in there, we still want you to invest at least 5%. And like I said, when the profit and loss is 90-10, we determine that when homeowner reach to the or accumulate 90% of the equity. So they keep paying their monthly payment, and they reach to 90%, it will trigger for us to order the appraisal, property value appraisal. And the property value appraisal will determine that we will take the difference from when either you refinanced at that value at that time or purchased the home, so purchase price, and that will be compared against, let's say it was 1 million when the purchase price, and now is 1.1 million when we appraise the house. So 1 million, 100K is the profit. 90% of that will be homeowner, and 10% will be Hilal Housing. So we'll add that 10% to the remaining 10%, and that's your final value. After that, your value goes up or down, is insensitive to the final value of that. Once you pay off, then the title will be transferred or whatever the documentation we need to get done. It could be also the if it is loss, then the 10% remaining will be the 10% of the profit will be. I'm saying profit, that's profit and loss. Whatever that number is will be deducted from there, and that will be your final value in case of loss. And also there's no time limit. So we don't go by the bank or 15 years of mortgage or 20 years because there's not a mortgage. It's the monthly payment, you continue paying that until you reach to 90%, and then we'll do the appraisal. And then that 10% remaining plus the profit and loss, continue you can pay as a monthly payment or lump sum. Generally, in the old organization, I see that it was about 10 to 12 and a half or 13 years average for taking the ownership. But there's no time limit from that perspective. It's just the other scenario is that if you want to sell it, right? So that can happen anytime. Just let us know, and then we'll go through the process. So this is in the graphic chart that getting to the list, right? 50K. Then we go through the list, and then the funds are available. We let the member know that your turn is there, and that list is on the website. Not the names, so it's just by the account number and the date, so that only the member knows that what his or her turn is. And then if person is not ready, we go to the next one. If that person is not ready, we go to the next one, and that's how it works. Once it is determined that the person is ready, we issue an authorization letter and give 60 days, and then 60 days. Within the 60 days, you have to conclude the deal, and then your payments and everything is done. At this point, we just bought the 6th home. So because we are REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust, there are some reporting or the requirements are there, and we have the status, but we have to properly meet that requirement, which is 5 homes and 100 members. Now, so how do we get the 5 homes as soon as, because we wanted to get the REIT as soon as possible. Why we wanted to get to the REIT as soon as possible? In the other organization, it was established in 96. We did not get to the REIT until 2004. And that's because when the founder find out that we are having the double taxing. The income that we receive as an organization, we pay tax on that. And then when we distribute that as ROI, the members pay the tax on that one. So that's a double tax. REIT allow that to defer the taxing. And what does that mean? That means that the tax is deferred on the members when they receive the 1099, when they use the ROI. And then when we say use, we don't differentiate between the balance. Your balance is, let's say, 100K, and ROI went there 5K or quarterly basis. Now we don't differentiate between this is your investment, this is your ROI. It is differentiated in the statement, but not as a balance perspective. So in order to issue 1099, your balance has to go to the level that the ROI is also. For example, if your balance is 100K and ROI is 10K there, so 110K your balance. If you withdraw 10K, you're still, your balance is still there. But if you withdraw 90K or 15K, so now you have 95. So now 5K of the ROI you have withdraw from that perspective. We have to issue the 1099 for that 5K. Same thing when you transfer all of your money when you purchase the home. Whatever balance you had, you transfer to. For the following year, we have to issue the amount of the ROI that you have transferred there, because that is considered as a used. Okay, so transfer of the ownership, right? So once you paid off all of that, you reach to that point that you have accumulated, then I think I went through this one, that continue the monthly payment. What does the monthly payment constitute? Monthly payment is your rent, appraised rent, and we do biannually, right? Every 2 years we do that. And there's the professional licensed, and if you do not agree with the a rental value that comes in, and that's applied to home value also. If you don't agree, you let us know that you dispute that, and unless there's any error there, we just go with what we receive, and we give you option to challenge that, get it appraised by the licensed appraiser, not from the Zillow or Google or my neighbor pays that much. No, we don't want to continue with that discussion back and forth until we get the answer. So we say go professional appraiser, and if there's not a big gap, gap means that $500 gap between the rental. We wanted to investigate that one of the appraiser may not get the right information there. But if there's no issue, we take the average, and then that becomes that's the rental value, and then we subtract 7% from that, and that becomes your rent. On top of that, we put the $75 admin fee, and that's your monthly payment. So from when this monthly payment comes in, we take the rental portion, and whatever the percent, let's say your investment is 20% and Hilal Housing 80%, 80% of that rent, we put that in a column called the income to Hilal Housing, and then the 20% reduces your balance, and that your equity is plus that 20%. So every time you make a payment, that ratio is calculated, the percentage. We used to do that every year, but then, to improve the fairness, we did that. So the same model, that every time you make a payment, and sometimes people do extra payment, and that's how that average that I mentioned that we had about 10 to 12 and a half, 13 years average. That's how, whatever, like me, whatever I have extra, I used to just pay them. That's how I was able to get earlier. So that rent portion is distributed that way, and that's the income that we're talking about, right? So that's the payment, and then once you reach to 90%, then we appraise the house, and then once you pay off that one, then we transfer the ownership. This last.
Last one question and answer before that I want to discuss. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thanks for attending the seminar. Couple of things I want to add as part of this. First of all, we already have couple of community members from Folsom who have already joined Hilal Housing, and one house has been already bought here, and my friend Faisal, he is for a long time, like almost 25 years friend of mine. So his house has been refinanced by Hilal Housing, and it is located in this locality itself. Okay. Any questions you have, you can always check with him, or you can send an email to Hilal Housing, support@Hilal Housing, and we will be able to address that. Okay. And and he has kind of asked us to come here and do the seminar so that people will be aware and everything. So that's where we are. The next slide what we have is, now you have a chance to ask any question, and we will be addressing all the questions from your guide. So Brother Faisal, you can raise your hand so that everybody can look at you.
One question, a lot of people, what is the maximum ROI you guys have paid as investor in the previous organization's maximum ROI?
So see, sometimes, okay, the ROI has been between 4.5 to 6, okay. That is the range the ROI will go. And here we are estimating that the ROI will be between 4.5, 4 to 5 definitely, and it can go beyond. So as Brother Ajas highlighted on one point, right, let me highlight that. What we will do to increase the ROI, right, because definitely to attract more investors, we have to increase the ROI. So we will be buying commercial properties as time goes, okay. Like we are still discussing internally within the board. At some point of the time, we will buy one of the house only 100% owned by Hilal Housing, so that our ROI keeps increasing that way, okay. That's the plan. Yep.
So just to make sure that from the privacy perspective, I hope we have permission to let the people know. We don't let anybody know that who has what. That's from the privacy perspective. Homeowner or the investor can let people know by themselves. So Hilal Housing does not do that. From the question from the ROI perspective, the one quarter that went to an old organization, 7.5%. That was odd, just like any statistical, extreme, you avoid that. So that was not the norm. Generally 4 to 5%. There was a case less than 4%, but those are like extreme. But we stay within the 4 to 5%. And with this one, like I mentioned that, just because of the rental income with the member home, not easy to balance it. Right now, because we have very few data points, the second quarter of last year was just the start. So we started from the Tahir. You're showing that. Right. So the third quarter, just like first and second, this year we have declared a 1%. We have not done that, but the board has approved 1%. The email was sent out yesterday. Yeah, so we have that. So if we continue with that, we'll have 4%, inshallah. December last quarter, the fourth quarter, it was at 2%. But that's also, because of the whatever reason. So we cannot take those numbers today. We need to get more data. And inshallah, once we get the more data, but based on the experience, that's what we think that will be our target from 4 to 5%, and then we'll work into how to make sure, how to balance it, and B, that how to increase it, how to make sure. Okay, so I'll get back to you. So this is our website. These are all the forms and documents that we have in there. So home buy, can you click on this one, please? The home buyer refinance.
You can say that you have the membership forms here if there's somebody.
No, the form. So these are the detailers, policies. Can you go back to the query, please? In the forms. Yeah, that last one. No, go down. The last one. Yeah. It's catching up with my age, slow. So this is the list of the folks who are in the active list. Can you scroll down, please? There's 21 of them right now. First 5, if you look at that, those are all zeroed list. Because of the REIT, the 5 home requirement, we did the refinance because the homes were already there. So we did not follow the first come first served basis, and that was intentional and as a goal. We did that with the note that first 5 will be refinance, and then we'll follow the list as appears there. So after the 5 of them, then we start the list and put down there ready and not ready when we receive that information from the members. So right now the number 5th is ready, and so next we were collecting the funds for that member, and then we'll go with the list, and then like we said, we just follow that. As soon as we receive the members request, we add this one, and that's visible to whole team. Your question.
Quick question, just so I understand the model correctly. So I'm trying to buy a house and it costs $1 million. I have to put minimum 200,000. So 200,000, 20% of the million. And then you calculate the rent. Let's say the rent is 4,000 for the house. So I would pay 4,000 every month, and then 20% of that, which is 800, goes into my equity, and then the remaining, which is 3,200, goes profit to Hilal Housing. And every month that number, my number goes up, the 800 increases, and your 3,200 decreases.
Yes,
Until we hit 90%.
correct.
I own 90% of the house, so 900,000. And then when we hit 900,000, you appraise the house at that time. So maybe now it's worth 1.2. So now the new goal is to continue the payments until I finish paying, or you receive the total that we get. The paid off is 1.2 million. And once that's achieved, then I own the house. Is that a correct kind of summary of the project?
So 1.2, if the house value becomes 1.2, then the balance is not 1.2, is whatever remaining at 90%, plus the 10% of that value. So 1 million, let's say home was bought for 1 million, and is now its value 1.2 at the 90%. So your balance is 10, right? Because you have already accumulated 90%. So on top of that, the 10% of the 2 will be added to that. So that's your final value, right? Right. And you can continue paying the way you are paying as a monthly payment, or you can pay lump sum. That's what many people have done that. And that is allowed anytime, there's no penalty. You can pay anytime. You can buy the home today and I'll not say lotto, but you get the money tomorrow, you can take the ownership tomorrow.
And if you do the ownership tomorrow, based on whatever you appraise it at that moment, and I
Correct.
pay whatever percentage is left.
The distribute profit and loss is still 90-10. That's the one part that we have when we say the not 100% partnership. That's where the discussion we had in length with these scholars, that when we had, so there was a couple of cases. One case is that we had this, at that time, 70-30 in the other organization. So the member wants to, for whatever reason, wants to refinance out or sell the home. Well, then the member decided to refinance out. And members' investment was at that time 30 or 31%. So if we go by the percent of the investment, our investment was 70%. So we would have taken the 70% profit. But now for the policy, we said the 30%. That member didn't like that and went to the scholars and said that, I was there for only, few years and then have to pay 30%. Scholar says that this is the contract, right? Now, the gist of that, information is that when it comes to the profit, giving more profit is not an easy thing. So if people want to bail out means that either pay off or go somewhere else. And they're not all at 90% because then you already know what you need to pay. You're less than that. You need to share that much profit with the Hilal Housing. And that becomes the problem. On the same time, we know that the real estate generally on the long run is a profit. But there's a time, because we go by profit and loss, that's what makes it from the Sharia compliant perspective, that's not a fixed. The loss can happen also. So minimizing the investors' investment, we don't want to go to a higher level. There's also, even though you're getting more, projected as that more profit. So from that perspective, even if you sell at the, before reaching the 90%, the distribution of profit loss will be same, 90-10. At any time, and then you can do that.
in regular home buying, there's a lot of closing costs. Is the cost associated?
So the the Hilal Housing, will only when we get the 5,000, that processing fee, it has nothing to do with the closing. It is the effort that the Hilal Housing consultant or whoever will be doing the work. And also that include the one-time appraisal at the 90%. So when we do the 90% final appraisal, we do not charge that. That's appraisal. So the insurance, closing cost, and tax is all members' responsibility.
And what is that on a traditional, like let's say $1 million house? What is the closing?
Closing cost is generally 3 to 5K around. It depends on the in the county. It's county dependent. Some county, as I've seen, that they also ask for the tax upfront, and some don't. So it's county based. But Hilal Housing has, this is like Hilal Housing does not involve in that, right? From the money perspective, that escrow fee is also directly if the homeowner or the potential homeowner at that time has enough money in the investment account, they can ask us to pay the closing fee, but that will be just like a withdrawing the money from and then paying on your behalf. But that's totally responsibility of the homeowner, and sometimes they give them directly. And same thing with the extra amount over the million, that if we are dealing with that 1 million perspective, any extra. So let me tell you, which I should have mentioned that the AP letter that we issue only for the amount that we have. Let's say you're trying to buy 1.5 home. You meet the 20% of the getting the 1 million, so you have about less than 1.3 in our investment. So we will issue the AP letter of that amount, not 1.5. In order for us to issue the AP letter, we have to have that amount. So, but some member says, okay, that issue whatever you have, and they fulfill the requirement of whatever that they have to disclose. They can send that money directly to the escrow when they're done that. But if they want us to issue AP letter 1.5, because we block that money, we make sure that if the escrow started tomorrow and they need the fund, because we do the wire transfer within 48 hours of when we notified. So we block that money. So in order to block that money, I guarantee that money we have to have it. Second part is that once we issue the AP letter, the authorization letter, on that day, the ROI is not earned on that money, even though it's not used yet. But that's when we start giving the ROI, because now that money that was there to help others is now you're utilizing for yourself. Any?
I have a lot of questions, so I'm gonna. Okay. At the time of the when you signed the contract in the beginning, what is who owns the house? Is it shared ownership in the contract where I'm listed and Hilal Housing is listed, or how is it? Who owns the house and how does that work?
Yes, the title will be under both names. यहीं से कर सकते हैं.
Yeah. So a couple of things as part of logistics. We have the samosas, people who want to eat, and we can continue this discussion. Brother Faisal, I'm putting you on spot, okay? You have experience dealing with Hilal Housing, so do you want to share something to the community? Sure. That will be good because you're the local guy. I just wanted to. I'm putting you on the spot. Okay.
More questions, please.
Yeah. We will have questions. Unless we answer everybody's question, we'll not go. We are here.
So
Okay.
I'm here as well, so.
Yeah.
So let's say,
Go ahead.
I have paid 30% of the amount. I'm already in the contract. Now I need to sell the house. And we sold, the purchase price was 1 million and the selling price will be, let's say, 1.2 million. So at 30% payment done from my side, from the client side. So what will be the ratio at that time?
So,
Probably I missed that answer. You probably answered it.
so whatever balance is left, whatever the balance left, and then based on the selling price, whatever the difference is, the 10% of that. So if your balance left, let's say 700,
Yeah.
so 10% of if the house value was 1 million and now is 1.2, so 200K is the profit. 10% of that plus that 700 is your final payment that you have to make. So escrow will give us that,
Okay, so 10% off.
the 200. Whatever the delta is from the selling price minus the original value, right? The 10% of that.
That means that 90-10 remain fixed.
That's fixed. And that's what I was saying, that to be true partnership, 90% only apply when you reach to 90%, but that's impractical. This is the survivability of the organization that you just cannot do that.
How about the remodeling?
So remodeling, let's say you wanted to increase the square footage. If you are just remodeling the existing one, no square footage, there's no sharing. You want to remodel your bathroom or your kitchen, there's no remodeling, because we run into a lot of issues with that. Because it's become subjective. There's no a list that you can compile that what covers and what is not covered. It comes as you go. And maintenance was never part of the old organization. But then when we are talking about the discussion, how we change this does not come in the maintenance or not, we want to avoid all of that. So if you're adding a bedroom, that's a square footage added. So let's say you spend about 40K on that one, right? You increase the square footage, that will be shared. How will that be shared? We will add that to your equity. Also, we'll add that to the original purchase price. So let's say your home was 1 million, now it's become 1.4, right? 104, right? So it's a 40K added in there. So ratio will be calculated based on that.
Okay, meaning to say that if I add the square footage, let's say increase one bedroom compared to the previous square, only that time that will be considered. But let's say the interior has been changed, roofing has been changed, let's say $50,000 has been invested for the remodeling, and when the selling time will be coming or appraisal time will be coming after the full payment, because of this addition, the profit also goes high. So why don't you consider that?
Because it's very difficult for us to tell the appraiser what consider, what not to consider. And that's the risk that the homeowner, I shouldn't say risk, but that's the opportunity for the homeowner, that if they wanted to take the benefit for years for that bedroom, right? If they want to do that, otherwise wait until you take the ownership.
That will be way too long.
I know, but because of that, just like maintenance, some of the issue, you have to upkeep the house,
Maintenance is very
right? But the maintenance is also subjective. But the issue that we run into, that the time we have to spend is not worth doing that for us. In addition to that, certain things are sometimes is negative. For example, we had one home came with the swimming pool. Now, the members does not want the swimming pool because of the kids or whatever happens, right? Now, it says we need to, close it. We have to fill it. There's a special process that you have to go through. Not sure what that process is. It says, that's we consider that as a utility like solar. You're putting the solar, that's your. You're putting the salt, the purification of the water stuff, that's your, whatever, for ease of your life, that whatever you want to do that. But from the management perspective, it's a big deal for us because we ran into those issues so often that we don't want to deal with that.
How about the other organization? How are they doing on this new model?
But that's what the experience that I'm talking about. I was there from 2006 as a board member, and I think I became president 2007 or 8 time frame until Tahir became president about 3-4 years ago. So I was the president for that long time, and I have to deal with that because to resolve those issues, there's not but to spend time, and then there's always argument. That's not worth my time or anybody's time from that perspective, that even after doing that, you have a bad taste. So clearly identify that up front and then go from there.
Do you do any yearly or every other year inspections through your organization of the house? Because you're also an investor.
No, we don't. We expect that homeowner will let us know that if there's any issue. And because of the, see that comes from the whole intent of why are we doing that. The whole intent is to avoid the riba going to the bank, right? And from that perspective, a lot of other things does not come into the picture from that perspective, that babysitting, or I shouldn't say that word, but from that perspective, we consider that the homeowner is getting, the investor is getting. For example, right now in my 401k is invested, but I'm very reluctant to change it because I don't know where the company will invest and then how much percent of the haram will be included in there unless I 100% review that, and I cannot do that. From this organization, you see that where the money is coming from, where it's going. You can determine that's whether it's a pure halal or not. So you have a sense of understanding that your money that you're investing, my money is in a bank, I'm not getting anything, that's just there, right? From here I'm paying, alhamdulillah, I'm getting the zakat and from there and something. So now from investing that money and also making sure that the homeowner, that I never bought the home. I was in the East Coast I'm here since '82 in America. In 2001 I came here. So just getting I says, this is what I was looking for. This organization where everything is upfront, that where the money is coming in. So I want to go there. Everything else is secondary for me. But I'm not saying that everybody should think from that perspective. But I got into this organization and bought the home just because of that reason. If I have to pay more from my pocket, I will do that. But I cannot compare that what I'm getting outside versus here, because if Allah accept that my intention to avoid the riba, that's all I need. I'll do that.
The question you asked was that our organization will go and check the house, what condition the house is.
So
That we are not doing it, but we trust that.
yeah, if that's my house, I have to take care of that, right?
No, because even if, like say, for example, you rent an apartment, it is in the contract says that manager can give a 24 or 40-hour notice to make an inspection to ensure, because you as a Hilal Housing is also owner of the house, and some owners are not always taking care of the property, even if they know that they are,
Okay, let me answer. So a couple of things, okay. First thing, when you buy the home or refinance the home from Hilal Housing, okay, that is the only time our appraiser will come. He will look, he will take the pictures, everything he will take care, okay. After that, we trust you as a member, because that is the reason we have a requirement saying that the home is for your personal use, not for investor. Okay, we will never come to your home, we will never look at your home, and what you do is your business in the home, okay. Unless somebody complains and somebody says, oh, you are the partner, because we are also on the title. So we don't do any inspection throughout the time till you take the ownership of the home, okay. Except first time when the home is bought, That is the only time our appraiser will come and do that. I think I answered your question. Yeah, thank you.
On top of that, on top of that, the value of your home is if you don't keep it, what will happen at the end, right?
Yeah.
So those are, we don't want to. Tahir responded.
Yeah. So basically, we want that, okay, it's in your interest as well as Hilal Housing's interest to maintain the property well. And that is the reason we say, okay, you have to stay in that property kind of. I mean, that's one question.
Only time we mandate to take care of that when you are buying the home and there's a class one issues,
Yeah.
the termite and stuff, right? We make sure that you finish that within the timely manner. Other than that, if we are notified by whatever reason that there's a damage, foundation damage, sometimes that is if the appraiser went in and then notified that there's an issue with it which can destroy, then we may mandate that you need to do something, right? Other than that, unless we trust that the homeowner will let us know if there's any issue.
Yeah, one more point I want to add there is,
Yours, this thing, every 2 years or some time out, we send the appraiser to check the property then.
So you do
No, we don't.
Let me answer that. Every 2 years, the appraiser, based on the MLS data, he will tell us the rent in that area. He will not visit your property. Okay. Only information what we get, okay. Now, just to elaborate a little bit, in the past organization also, suppose you don't pay your property tax, then we will also be notified. Oh, he is a delinquent, he has not paid the property tax. Apart from property tax, I have never seen anybody coming back to Hilal Housing or anybody, the other organization also saying that, okay, yeah, this is the issue kind of. So if you don't pay the property tax, yes, we will be notified. Apart from that, I have not seen any notification coming from anywhere, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
The rental payment at the beginning of the contract, is it fixed throughout the term?
No. Every 2 years, we will revise the rent. If the rent goes down, it will be less. If the rent goes up, it will be up. And there is a cap, okay? What we do is, we suppose your rent now is $3,000. After 2 years, it has become $5,000, suppose. So it's a big jump of almost like 30-40%, right? We cap it to 13% in 2 years. We will not go up till that. We will only cap 13%. That's what it is, okay? And every 2 years we are trying to increase the rent, check on the rent. If it is lower, it goes lower. If it goes up, it goes up. It depends on your area, locality, whatever you stay. Yeah, you had a question?
First thing is with respect to the share of ownership. So if somebody has already 30% of equity,
Yes.
and if they want to get on the list, do they need to have 50,000 investment into the account?
Yes.
And then second thing, they also need to bring 5% in addition to that 30%.
No. Two cases, okay? One is if you are buying a new home, then 50,000 investment is needed to get into the queue. Now, second thing, if you are refinancing your home, suppose your home is having a value of 500K today, okay? Or your loan amount is only 500K. So you have to deposit only 5% of that 500K to get into the list. 50K is only for new people. Of course, we encourage people to deposit as much you can. It's not that we are going to say, oh, don't deposit kind of. But the minimum we want is 5% because, see, why we keep this 50K and 5%? We want to understand that you are serious to kind of buy a home or refinance a home, okay? Otherwise, what happens is this queue of 22, right? I can fill up and make it 70 today because everybody will have some intention to buy home at some point, right? That is the only reason we are kind of asking people to invest.
Second thing is with respect to the loss, case of loss.
Yes.
Is it still 90-10?
Okay, loss. Now, for example, you bought the property at 1 million, right? And you had a loss and your property value became 900K. So your loss is 100K, right? 10% of the 100K will be paid by Hilal Housing. 90% of the loss you will bear. So for the profit and loss, right? 90-10, 90% of the profit you will keep and 90% of the loss you will bear. That's how it is.
Yeah, the ratio is same.
Ratio remains same. Yes. At any percentage, you may be 30%, 40%, whatever percent you are. That's how it works.
I do want to let the community know, I know the brothers from past 7-8 years from Housing onwards. So, Jazakallah for coming.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, go ahead.
3 questions, so I'm gonna ask them after that, so you can get on. I don't bother you anymore.
No, that's
Okay, one thing what we both love, okay? We love people to talk.
right.
Okay, go ahead.
And on top of that, our purpose is to be used in something that we think that Allah will reward us and will forgive us. So our cash register start when we come here. So and will continue.
And one more point I wanted to share. On our website, we have what we call Zoom link. What we tell people is, okay, if you have more questions, anytime you want, just our calendars are published. You can schedule Zoom call anytime with us. We have our calendar published whole week. Saturdays we have almost a whole day. Sunday we have almost whole day. Other days we have 7 to 10 or in the evenings kind of, okay, because we both have day jobs to work. This is our volunteer work, but anytime if anybody asks us to kind of join the Zoom call and all, we are open. Okay, go ahead.
How long is the wait if you're on the list? If you got on the list today, what do you expect to wait?
Okay, now you see we have almost like 21 people, right? The list is growing, definitely. We have completed 6 houses in almost a year kind of, okay? So now about this list, one important thing you guys have to understand. Like you see here, not ready, right? There are brothers who will be in the list and they will come back and say, oh, the market is very high, I am not ready. Then we skip. So I cannot tell you a time frame saying that tomorrow, if suppose 15 people say no, the 16th guy will come and he can get a home. So I cannot tell you the time frame kind of thing, but generally our experience is people who are serious enough, they will take it. Okay.
So it's very difficult to tell then when the time will come. Based on experience from the other organization, we were from 2016 on, we were buying 20 homes, 20, 22 homes, average 20 homes per year. So it was very easy for us, and we were getting about 20 million per year without any marketing. So based on that, we can say that, let's say if your number is, I'm talking about that time with that numbers, if your number is 50, so we can simply say that if everybody in the list takes their turn, your turn will come in 2.5 years, because you're buying 20 homes, right? So but not in the experience, not everybody takes their turn. But who will take it and when, we don't know. So it all depends on the funds. If we have a funds today, 20 million, we will be able to offer everybody. So it depends on how much funds is coming, and at this point we cannot gauge that what will be our annual fund, right? And once we have that, then we'll be able to project more.
How many members have joined since the last 1 year?
I'm sorry?
How many members?
How many members? We have 75 members. We are trying to reach to 100 because our reach requirement is that 5 homes, and that was the reason the refinance, and 100 members. So we reached to 75, and then we are trying to, as soon as we reach that, we'll meet the reach requirement, but we will still need to go a long way to make sure that our investment coming in is enough to help the list.
And just to add on that, okay, this is our third seminar, okay, in Bay Area, and we are still at 75. Most of them are, we know people and people joined us kind of, but as we go now, we are planning to do here, then Sacramento, then go till LA. That area we have not even touched now. As we progress, we go do more seminars. I'm sure every time we do a seminar, we get 10-15 members down the line. So quickly our membership will grow, and if people are interested in refinancing or buying, one suggestion we give all the time, okay, become a member first and get into this list. If you keep thinking about, oh, I will get into the list, I will get into the list. This list will grow very fast. I don't have to do anything, it grows because everybody needs a house, right? So if you are interested in buying or refinancing your home, get into this list quickly. That is the key. And yes, whenever your number comes, when we have funds, and the other thing I wanted to mention is we will never jump in this list. Okay? Even though you come tomorrow and say, I have $1 million, brother, I'll give you today, give me the remaining money. No, we will go by this list. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Were you done with your questions?
Two more, but.
Go ahead, you go.
Okay.
No, you can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Whoever wants to go.
New buildings or constructing buildings, any restriction on what?
Yeah,
you
for the
provide?
new construction, what we suggest is, okay, you become the member, get into this list. If your timing matches, okay, we'll definitely fund that, because new construction, you know that it can get delayed, it can be early also, sometimes it is early, sometimes it is delayed, okay. So we cannot match the timings. But you being in the list, if I have the money and your turn comes up there, we'll say, okay, go ahead. Now, I'll give you an example. There are 3 members who joined the day we opened the organization, okay? That's in Lathrop. Now, they got the house, but they are going to get refinanced with us. A lot of people are like that. Okay, what we say is, okay, you be in the list, if your turn doesn't come that time, you can get refinanced with us. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing we don't do, like land, we don't do that. We wanted to make sure that the minute the title is in our name and member's name, we're getting the rent.
What is the 401k account for?
Okay, on the retirement account point, right, what we say is these 2 things are there. If suppose you are working in XYZ company and you left the company, suppose, okay. Now you have your 401k or IRA account just lying there, you are not doing anything, okay. You can invest that money in Hilal Housing and gain halal dividends. That is the purpose for that. And plus, if you invest what you call 401k or IRA account, then what will happen is, okay, the other members will get funded quickly and all these things, okay. And for that, there is a process to be done. You have to come through a custodial for the 401k, okay. And we can explain that process if anybody is interested on that, and we can go.
Change the jobs that you're
Yes.
So this was in response, like I think we mentioned that we implemented the improvements from the other organization that we ran into. Few people, when we were there, they asked that why we don't accept the 401k or the retirement funds. So that's what the reason that we says, okay, we'll add it there. Tahir, may Allah reward him. He did all the homework and then found the way, and then we added that. So that's one way also to, if anybody interested in that. And you don't have to retire, right? Or change that. If your company allows that to fund yourself, you can do that.
Yeah, one more thing as we're talking on that. Custodial account, okay? That's a very important account. People should open kids accounts who are going to college, who are going to further study. If they are saving somewhere, then this is the good opportunity to put a custodial account till 18. You will be the owner. After 18, he will be kind of becoming the owner of that one. And the advantage for opening a custodial account is that whatever ROI you get, okay, up till $800, you get an exemption in the tax. Okay, you guys know whenever you do the taxes. So any ROI you get 800, you can offset there, and that's a big money too. Yeah, go ahead. Your question.
Yeah, the question that I have there, I wrote it down. There are a few bigger organizations that have financing options available, such as like Guidance, UIF, and Devon Banking. You created this company because you saw that there was a need in the community for what you're doing. If you can explain, if you were in our shoes, why would you want to choose Hilal Housing?
Okay, I can ask.
Yes, and then I was just finishing off. And the reason why I say that is because $50,000 down payment may be a little bit a lot for some people, and it's maybe they want to get out of the loan-free, interest-free loans. So if you can answer that, that'd be great.
Okay. 2 things I wanted to tell before I talk about comparing with other models and other thing. Okay. First thing, we claim that we are 100% riba free. Okay. the reason why we claim we are 100% riba free, we challenge people also. Okay, show me where is the riba in our system, kind of. And the reason why I say that is because neither the funding is coming from bank, not a single bank or not a single institution who has some bearing of interest is part of us. Okay, all the money is coming from the community and channelized to the community, right? We are just acting like what you call facilitating to buy the home. So that is one thing. Now comparing with others, normally we don't talk about any other organization because that is their kind of thing and what we do. But if you look, just for comparison purpose or just to say, if you look, they will always be going based on what is the market interest and all these things. They have the profit rate and all that components, okay? They vary based on the market situation. For us, we don't vary, we always go through the rental appraisal. The rental value of the house, that is what determines your monthly payments. And this is in the contract, it will never change. Even though your rent goes so high, it will never change. So that is a major difference if you see between the models, okay? But definitely we are not going to tell you, oh, guidance is good or this guy is good or this guy is good. We are much better than that. We don't do the comparison because there is no comparison to be done, because we are not associated with any bank, Freddie Mac, nothing. It's all community money going to community. And that's where people invest in with us, because they think that, okay, even though I am not buying the home, I'm helping some brother. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll add it to that. So we are not scholars. And because of that, we cannot say what's right, what's wrong. Because each of those organizations have scholars behind them. So there's no way that we can say that that's wrong. It just becomes what your heart says. Because there's how many layers of the onion you want to peel, right? From that perspective, the only reason that I did not buy from anybody else, that these organizations exist in the past, that one part that I didn't know exactly that what the source and also the distribution of that, and that put the doubt in my mind. At that time, not consult any scholars or anybody, and that what kept me away not buying the home in the East Coast when I was there. When I came here, I saw that, I said, SubhanAllah, that's what I'm looking for. There was a time between the scholars also, and if you can find the video or something, Sheikh Main al-Qada, who, when we had him review our model, it was 10-15 years ago, please don't quote me on timing, that while he was reviewing that, we board members, we were there, 6 or 7 of us, and he says that 3 or 4 times he says that, I can be your guy, I can help you guys. So one of the board member, Muhammad Mustafa, may Allah reward him, he's very hardcore with this type of thing. He took me out and says, he told us to become our advisor, literally, from that model perspective. One time in the MCA, he said that he did not had a good words for the guidance and Lariba. At that time, probably they didn't have enough, provided enough. But later, he went with them also. He says, those are fine. So things changes and scholars review that. And from that perspective, we have no say. It will be not our place to say that. It's just where the heart goes. Jazakallah khair.
The share of source of the funds, the share is with UIF will be included in the contract. But once the contract is done, they sell their share to Freddie Mac, which is again Riba. So that's where the source is. The source is already UIF in contract with us. We make the payments to them, but then the actual sources they sell their investment, their portion of the investment to Freddie Mac.
Just to add, okay, We don't sell anywhere. Okay, all is within us. All property, we are on the title all the time. Till the time you are there, we are on the title. So there is no transferring of anything to anywhere.
Can you take questions from the ladies side?
Yeah, sure. Any questions from the women section is
Sisters.
always welcome. Okay. Sorry, we we were concentrating here. Yeah, go ahead.
So your model is very similar to Amin Housing. So was that the old organization or?
Yes.
Yes.
They are
Okay,
not the
let
owner
me-
of this organization. So-
Let me clarify that.
You're a sub of Amin Housing?
Okay, let me clarify that part. Okay, we all people here are ex-board members of Amin Housing. There is no relation between Amin Housing and Hilal Housing. Okay, this is a new organization, and why we have this new organization? Because we know that the requirement for what we talk about is there should be at least 8-10 organizations like this, so that all the Muslim community can benefit out of it and take advantage of being riba free kind of. Only one organization or two organization cannot even cater. Even Bay Area itself we cannot cater. We still are not able to go to LA and do some marketing or other thing. There should be more organizations in the community, so that community should feel that yes, this is the model which I want to go kind of. Okay.
My other question is there a different list for refinance versus buying home? Or
No, there is only one
So-
list, and this is the list. Whether you are refinancing or see, the difference between refinance and purchasing, right, is once you get the home, it is the same thing. So we have the same list for refinance as well as purchasing.
Okay, and then when we have a Zoom appointment with you and we go through, like if it's a refinancing, are you guys able to give us estimates, like work on estimates and say, if you join us, this is what, or not until we're up on the list and we're ready to move forward?
Okay, what we do once you are in the list, right? Okay, suppose you are buying or refinancing the home. Okay, we will not be able to tell you that this will be your X amount of rent, this is the value of the house, because the value of the house, if you look, it changes so much drastically. In 3 months I have seen that the value of the house which was 800k has become 950. So the market is behaving very erratic. We can tell you the reference, but that reference you cannot quote me when we come to refinance or buy. Oh, you told me this was the thing. We, for explaining purpose, we always put a general number kind of, but I cannot go and evaluate your property and tell you at that time. Okay, that's what we cannot do, because the market is so much changing kind of.
So my question is, when we invest in Hilal Housing, you mentioned between 4.5 to 6, or maybe go up or down.
Yeah.
Is that the total, the profit you get, or is that giving to the member?
Okay,
No, I think-
what we do is this. Okay, when you invest, suppose you become a member tomorrow and invested 100k. Okay, when you invest 100k, the day you invest, on the first of the month, if you invest, from there your dividends start calculating. Now every quarter we declare the dividend. Okay, but even though we calculate monthly, every quarter we declare the dividend, and every quarter your statement will see the dividend amount also. So 4.5 to 6 or 4 to 5, whatever we talked about, we are talking that's the annual you will get it. Okay, but every quarter we will be inputting it.
No,
Yeah.
that one I got. There is per annum or
Yes.
calculated. So my question is that the Hilal Housing making, and this is the percentage, or you decided to give it to them?
No. Okay, how we decide, right, is based on the income what we get from the rental property. It's not that we are going to tell you. If anybody wants to see the calculation, we can show you everything, how we came to that number also. Okay.
So another question is, when we buy a house, we are mostly renters because we pay 20%, and mostly it's done by the house, the Hilal Housing.
Yeah.
If something happens, like if a leak comes out or it's a damage something, so are we the responsible, and how we divide that amount?
Okay, two things as we talked about, right? One is with Hilal Housing, what we are doing is, if suppose any maintenance is there, okay, maintenance is the responsibility of the homeowner. Okay, only if you add square footage, suppose your family requirement has changed, you want to add additional room there, yes, that is the time we will come in picture. Otherwise, to keep the model very clean and to avoid subjective things, what we did is any maintenance things, like for example, tomorrow you think that okay, I want to remodel the kitchen. That is for your.
So,
That's your choice. We are not asking anybody to do
so
it.
for damage, that's where your insurance should be covering it.
And if you know that's not a part of insurance sometimes.
Insurance, then that's, there's nothing we can do. But at the end, let's say the damage is so severe that the values go down, then it will be considered as a value change.
Yeah, I will give brother Faisal, whose house is in this community, to speak something what he has gone through and what he.
Assalamu alaikum. Tariq asked me to just quickly share my experience.
Good and bad, both.
So, with the disclaimer that I started in Bay Area in 2001, my first job in Tariq, and I worked in the same company, Cisco, for almost close to 11 years. So I know I was Tariq for almost 25 years. So that's a good or bad, I don't know. So with that said, Amin Housing, my number, I put under Amin Housing my investment since last 8-10 years. After Sar Khana, what do you call in Urdu? I kind of talked to Tahir for like many years, and finally I put my money in Amin Housing, and still my number was 67 or 87, something like that. So I did not get in Amin Housing list yet. So what I did is I bought my first home with UIF back in 2014 in Mountain House. UIF is backed by scholars. Okay, great, and I know brother Anwar Mangyud, he does a great guy, but UIF, my whole thing, my heart did not get satisfaction once I saw the what's that, Freddie Mae or Fannie Mae. As soon as I saw that in the mix, I was like, okay, next time inshallah I'll try to see if I can get through Amin Housing. So when I moved to Folsom, I bought my whole house through traditional conventional housing. I bought through conventional because the builder discounts and all those things to take care of that. And then I immediately got in the list of Hilal Housing because they were separating from Amin Housing. And they came back to me in October last year. At that time, I was having some job issues, so I said, no, I'm not ready. So they came back to me in April. I remember April 21 was my approval date, and May 9th, I had a closure. So within 18 days, my closure happened, not even 60 days. And whatever they have explained, their professional came to my home, he did the appraisal. Almost what I expected, the appraisal happened. Rental wise, I got some better deal, I feel good about that. And then -7%, and I think everything is going as expected, Obviously, there are process improvement. You don't have that Bank of America or Chase type of online way of managing things. But I think that is fair because they are new. And these things take time to have these kind of large kind of things. And one more thing is Amin Housing being here for, I think, how many, like 20-30 years or something? They still have like, issues with automation and things like that. And I'm a member of that as well. So Hilal Housing already doing 6 houses is phenomenal within the last few months. But again, I say Amin Housing, Hilal Housing, both are great options. If we have Amin or Hilal more, I would encourage, because to me, this is the real Riba Free and better than Amin for me, because it's 90-10. 90-10 brings more value to homeowner than to Amin. Less risk, and obviously, that's my 2 cents, please. If you guys want to talk to me back, not in front of these guys, but I think this is a great fair model for everyone, inshallah. Yes.
So you got great deal because this company just started, but
10 years from now, you'll see that Hilal Housing also will have the 80 leads, just like the Amin Housing is having today. Number 1. So that cannot be a buying point. Number 2 is that their system is not very good. You said Amin Housing. This honorable 5% was in Amin House for 10 years. So what they did in Amin Housing, the system couldn't be improved.
That's a question more to on their side. I mean,
I'm sorry, say it again.
So you are saying that Amin Housing having some system issue or
No, I didn't say.
traditional way. So that one is you guys are in that board members, so why that has not been done
So-
for such a long time?
So from the Amin Housing, so we are not representing Amin Housing, so I cannot talk about the Amin Housing. The history, if why is few things happens or not, the board is governed by the board members. The decision is made by the majority rules. And whatever decision was made by the board based on these circumstances at that time. Earlier in the organization, security was a big deal. That the data of the members cannot be compromised, period. And that's one thing from the automation, that to make the automation, even with us here, costs money, a lot of money. And with the volunteer base, if we ask for somebody to help, that doesn't work. Homegrown tools never work. The statement that has been used there for the homeowner distribution, I created that, and I'm using that also. But that's not the automation, because if something goes wrong, who's gonna go and fix it? Automation is that something is available that commercially or can be managed, and if that goes broke, somebody can help, right? They're taking the full responsibility. So those are some of the issues, that money, and also, agreement between the boards. And so whatever happened, that based on those circumstances, not with the good or bad. That's what happened based on circumstances. Here we are trying to do the same as that, so one thing there is a piecemeal. When you start the organization, you start with a piecemeal, just like a software. If you have a software, you do the patches and patches and patches. Times comes that you cannot do more patches, right? Because you are constrained by your architecture unless you change. That we are taking care of right now here with we start with certain things that that's scalable. That was not the thought process at that time, early in the program, because for valid reason, because they were just thinking to expand that and then put their feet in there. But we already went through that combined experience. When I left last year, because the term was over, that I was approached by other organizations that, but my experience in this one, when I talked to Sheikh Shabli, he says, we need 10 of these type of organizations, so that the list of the people that have here probably, in 60 or 70, right? Then you have to wait, generally. But if there's a 10 new organization, people have more chances to get it right away, right? And a cater, if you don't like, there was a few cases where the member comes and says, the only reason I'm here because I don't have any other choice. But now you do. And anybody wants to open the organization, will help as much as possible. Because our intent is not the Hilal Housing, our intent is to help the community. And whatever it takes. We used to tell, everybody used to call us that says, open up, take the responsibility, we'll give you everything we have, and also support you. So that's the intent.
Okay, just to add couple of things. Okay, we have the membership forms here. If anybody wants to fill up the membership form right away, we can take it also, or you can fill it up online. Brother Shahid already is having the membership form. Anybody wants to fill up the membership form, do that. But important thing, if you are intending to buy home, get into the list quickly, because this list keeps increasing. Okay, that's what. Yeah, go ahead with any question.
And one thing I tell you, one thing brother mentioned about getting this REIT list, like 100, right? I even had my investment account for my son, because I want to support this model and go as much as possible so they can reach 100 members as soon as possible, inshallah. I'm not marketing, nobody paid me anything. So I'm just telling you guys, I just am a homeowner, and I know Brother Tahir for 25 years. That's the whole thing. And alhamdulillah, I'm happy there with my financing, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. I have my whole family and my, accounts there. And only reason is that
I think we have 4 o'clock, so we should wrap up and then have some.
Right. So the only reason that the Allah, we don't know what action Allah will accept, and from that perspective, just with the niyyah that I'm opening up this account to help others who wants to avoid the riba. That to me is more than enough reason for me. And then I open.
Okay, I think it's 4 o'clock. I want one of the community members to come forward and make dua so that we can close the session. I want some community member. I don't know much about you guys. Whoever wants to come forward, just come up. Go make the dua. Anybody wants to come and make the dua.
Usually I make dua in Urdu, so if viewers don't understand Urdu, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. اللهم انت السلام منك السلام عليك جو السلام هي رب السلام والصلاه والسلام تبارك ربنا وتعالى يا ذو الجلال والاكرام. ربنا ظلمنا انفسنا وان لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. اللهم انك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اے اللہ ہمارے تمام گناہوں کو معاف فرما.
آمین.
اے اللہ ہماری مشکل کو آسان فرما.
آمین.
دین دنیا اور یا اللہ ہر طرح کے گناہوں دین میں جو بھی ہم سے اللہ بھول چک ہو جائے اللہ وہ معاف فرما. یا اللہ جو ربا کے بنا جو کوششیں کی جا رہی ہیں اللہ ربا فری سوسائٹی کو ہم کوشش کر رہے ہیں اپنی ہاؤسنگ کے لیے اللہ اس میں ہمیں کامیابی عطا فرما.
آمین.
یا اللہ جو محنت کر رہے ہیں ہم لوگ یا اللہ اس کو قبول فرمائیے. یا اللہ ایمان عطا فرمائیے, سلامتی عطا فرمائیے اللہ, اور اس کمیونٹی میں برکت عطا فرمائیے اللہ. یا اللہ ہلال ہاؤسنگ یا امین ہاؤسنگ یا جو بھی ہاؤسنگ کمیونٹیز یا اللہ جو کوشش کر رہی ہیں انہیں کامیابی عطا فرمائیے یا اللہ تاکہ ہم ربا فری ہو سکیں. چلتے ہاتھ پاؤں ایمان کی سلامتی کے ساتھ خاتمہ فرمائیے اللہ, اور جب خاتمہ ہو تو رسول اللہ اور ان کے اللہ کمپینین کے ساتھ ہمارا اللہ ہمارے اللہ ساتھ ہو اللہ, اور حوض کوثر نصیب فرما. صلی اللہ تعالی علی خیر خلق محمد و علی آلہ وصحبہ اجمعین. آمین برحمتک یا ارحم الراحمین.
Jazakallah khair.
Okay, you can schedule a meeting on the website and we are available all the time. Okay, Jazakallah.